Hello there and welcome to PeakFiddler feedback video number 2. First of all, can I say thank you so much for the really interesting response and comments that you left to my first feedback video last weekend. I was absolutely bowled over, to be honest, by your responses. And I loved reading all of the comments that you left behind, and also the comments that you left in my response video that I made. So hopefully I've ticked a few boxes there and managed to answer some of the queries that came in, which were fascinating. I never realised there was such a diverse range of questions, so it was quite good fun sort of trying to answer some of those things, and hopefully I managed to achieve a reasonable amount of those queries that were made. I know there are still some outstanding. I know I'm still trying to finish the Strayaway child video. That's quite a lengthy tune and that's taking me a little while to do. But it definitely is on the cards to actually produce a video for that particular tune, explaining how to play it. I should also say a big thank you to those people who were kind enough to make a contribution towards my PayPal Me PeakFiddler, which I set up this week, which I hadn't thought of doing actually until somebody mentioned it to me that I should start a Patreon. And I thought, well, I want to be a little bit more inclusive and include everybody if possible. So I thought, well, why not just do something where people can contribute if they wish? And really, the response has been so good. Thank you so much, those people that have been involved in that. That definitely looks as though I need to get the book put together, which will contain many of the popular tunes that I've produced in the videos over the last few years, that will more or less have the whole thing together. And it might well be that I can produce a further series of books, or rather a further booklet, so it looks as though there's going to be at least more than one book because there are so many tunes. So that's work in progress, and thank you anyone who has contributed towards that. If you feel that you wish to contribute, please do so. There's a link in this video description. Moving on, the interest in bows. I did a sort of short video about bows, and I know that I need to go and do a little bit more work on that, because I have a collection of bows. They aren't expensive bows, they're actually bows that I've bought over the years, but that may be of interest, and the different qualities and how I find that each of them seem to play in a different way. So if that makes sense, they each seem to make the violin sound slightly different. So I do have favourites, and perhaps that's something I want to do in a complete video. Scarborough Fair, I managed to do that. I wasn't sure if I could, but I sorted that one out. So hopefully that video is there for anyone who fancies learning my version of Scarborough Fair. It became a little bit more long-winded than I actually had set out to, because there was so much to the story. It was so interesting talking about Paul Simon and his version and where the tune originated from, etc. So that was a great fun video to make that I hadn't even thought of doing. So thank you for giving me the inspiration to do that. Starting and finishing. See, that's something else that I never realised that could be an issue. So that was fun to make, that particular video. So these points are interesting, because it's easy to forget sometimes what kind of thing you encounter when you're first learning to play the violin or the fiddle. you know, it's quite a few years since I first picked up a 4-stringed violin and thought, how on earth can I play this thing? And yeah, it's a long time actually, quite a few years ago. So you tend to forget the problems that someone starting from scratch encounters. So it's so useful to have that feedback. And that was one of the reasons why I started making the beginner series and the intermediate series of videos where I tried to give some basic instruction. And they certainly seem to have been well received. So yeah, I shall use your suggestions to progress with those 2 series. There was an interesting comment made about tab, learning to read tab, and the numbering of tab. And I've had that question raised quite a few times now, and I've sort of tried to produce a little graphic diagram of how I interpret tab. But I feel it really needs a good video making to clarify exactly what tab is. I wouldn't encourage anyone particularly to use it unless they are perhaps a mandolin player, which of course then means that tab tends to be the format. However, having said that, I do appreciate it's a great way into learning the instrument, the violin. And yet, sure, I did look at tab when I first started to learn the fiddle. And it did help me at that stage, but I must admit I forced myself into reading notation. And that was another interesting point about looking at notation and trying to remember the link between the notes on the page. As somebody once mentioned, the spider's footprints on the page and the notes on the violin. So that's an interesting area. So hopefully I might be able to grasp the nettle on that one and make a useful video that would give some starting point on how to get into a routine of learning to recognise note shapes on a stave and the sound that they make and the position of your fingers. So yeah, that's something I'm looking at as well. Flower of Inverness was another tune that was suggested, and I looked at that. I listened to the YouTube version, and there's a great version on there, but I suspect it may be a heavily copyrighted tune. So I'm going to move on from that one, because often I spend maybe 7 or 8 hours doing a recording, because these videos do take a fair bit of time actually. So I might spend 7 or 8 hours only to upload it to YouTube to be suddenly faced with a copyright infringement, and that does happen. So obviously I don't want to be involved in copyright issues, etc., unless of course they are traditional tunes. And then what I have to do is I have to go and find a very early printed manuscript version, say 1768 or something like that, and I use that then in evidence to YouTube, and I say, look YouTube, this particular tune was collected and notated in this manuscript collection of tunes in 1768, so come on, it can't be copyright anymore. And then invariably a traditional tune then passes that copyright restriction. It's a very, very tricky area, copyright, but I think Flowers of Inverness may be a fairly new tune, so I don't think it's going to be something I'll be tackling, that particular one, particularly as I've got my own version, the Flowers of Glasgow. Oh yeah, there was another interesting comment about learning Balkan tunes. Totally, you know, I thought, wow, Balkan tunes? I know nothing about music from that area of the world. So of course onto YouTube I go and I start doing my research, And yes, I do actually know quite a bit about those style of tunes. It's such a large area, of course, but having had holidays abroad in similar areas and seeing concerts from folk groups from that area, I've a pretty good idea now what might be involved. So that's something I've got cooking on the back burner at the moment. So keep an eye out for that. Balkan Tunes. Oh, Carolyn. Oh, yeah, oh, Carolyn. How can I not mention the man? I've been brought up on O'Carolan. You know, every session I've ever played in, one of his tunes always gets played. She Beg and She More. There are so many. The Planksty tunes, you know, the Carolan's Farewell, so many wonderful melodies. And so I kind of overlook it a bit because there are so many videos on YouTube, and I'm thinking, well, you know, it's been really done a lot. And I always try and look for something that hasn't been done as much. Well, certainly with some of my videos anyway. But yeah, I do need to cover Carolan more. I'm going to do more of his tunes and certainly put up lessons to go with them. Obviously, She Beg and She More, She Beg, She More, and others. So that's something that's once again on the list to do. I just wish there were more hours in the day. I really do. I put some shorts up. Yeah, I'm not wearing shorts. Don't worry. Honest, I'm not wearing shorts. Only when the weather improves. But I did put some shorts up. It's because I keep getting these videos saying, put shorts on. I thought, what are these shorts? And they're 1 minute videos, basically. I think YouTube are trying to emulate Instagram, because I do 1 minute videos on Instagram. If you're on there, just type in PeakFiddler and give it a follow, because I've got quite a few behind the scene kind of videos showing how I record things and stuff like that. So anyway, YouTube seemed to be doing this as well, so I thought, well, I'll put 3 of my Instagram videos on to YouTube and just leave them there. And I realised afterwards that it could be confusing to anyone looking at them, thinking, what's he up to, playing 1 minute videos, and why is he filming a computer screen with guitar rig on it and various things. Well, yeah, that's a good point. It was just purely because that's what YouTube said they wanted, but I might delete those videos, although one of them seems to have had over 600 views, so I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, if you are interested in that sort of thing, electronic violins, I don't think there is a great deal of interest on this channel for that sort of thing, but I might throw up the odd video now and then, perhaps, because I do see these electric violin players trying to emulate the guitar and standing all rock and roll. Well, honestly, it is so easy to do. You know, there's nothing complex about it at all. And I really feel as though I'd like to do a video about that, because we can do it for virtually next to nothing. Because, in fact, Native Instruments give their software away free. They want you to buy it. Well, I've bought some of theirs in the past, actually, but the demo version lasts for, I think, 20 minutes. Well, you can do a whole recording in 20 minutes, but to be fair to Native Instruments, I have tended to buy their software. So yeah, I can see the thinking behind that. If they catch you in that way and think, you know, you're starting to use the software more and more, I tend to end up buying stuff, because I think, well, you know, it's only fair. So yeah, that's what the shorts were all about anyway. Not something I was wearing today. It's a little bit cold. It's been snowing here today, would you believe? Mershon Durkin. I put that one up because I know that those videos are very popular. Okay, I know they're everywhere. The Pogues, Dubliners and all those famous bands have done it. But I just thought I'd do my own, because I used to go out with the pub band on Friday nights doing that sort of stuff. So for me, it's a bit like falling off a log. So I hope you enjoyed that Merchendurkin. I intend to do an occasional one like that, because I quite like that sort of music. It's good fun. It's cheerful music. Finally, there was an inquiry about the blues fiddle as well. I know that's not the most popular of my videos. I know that, you know, the take up on that's a lot lower actually. But I may put another video or two up on blues fiddle, because I still feel it's an area that is of interest and worth covering. So those are all the sort of things I've got planned. There's plenty there to keep me going, probably until the next Christmas. But anyway, there's plenty to keep me going, and I do listen to your comments, and I am interested in what you have to say, which makes me think maybe I am feeling more confident and perhaps at doing a live broadcast. That might be something coming along. And obviously I know a lot of you are based in the States or Canada, so there's a big time difference. I mean, at the moment, if I'm doing a lesson here on Skype at say 7 o'clock, I know in the States it's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if I did a live broadcast, it would probably come over to the America and Canada, South America, I guess, around about mid-afternoon, something like that. And Australia, I've no idea. I imagine it would be 12 hours later, so I'm not sure. Anyway, it might be something I'll have a go at. It's just a confidence thing with me. I'm getting more confident at talking to the camera now, so as you can probably gather, I've been rattling on far too long now. But oh, and the other thing was maybe Zoom lessons. I don't know. That's a possibility. But anyway, these are all ideas, and thank you so much for your feedback. Please leave any comments, because I do read them and I do try and act upon them. Even if I haven't got round to doing every one, I am working on it. And thank you very much for being so involved and so interested. It's great talking to you guys. Take care, have a smashing week, and see you soon. Bye bye now.